You'd think there could be nothing worse for a family to experience than the abduction and murder of an innocent 5-year-old. However, there are things which make it worse. This was a tragedy that could have been prevented and which was not unprecedented. The appalling setting in which it happened is a national disgrace that shames Australia. It should disgust us all that any Australian child is forced to live in such squalid and dangerous conditions in an obviously dysfunctional community. It's been almost 20 years since the Little Children Are Sacred report, and it's evident children in these Northern Territory communities are no safer today than they were back then. Justice for this tragedy will only be fully served when children in these communities are no less safe than children anywhere else in Australia. Justice will only be completely served when those who are responsible for the ongoing dysfunction of these communities are held to account. Justice will only be achieved when the Indigenous corporations, which receive huge amounts of taxpayers' money to close the gaps, are held accountable for their failures and their rampant corruption and nepotism. For years now, I have spoken out about what is happening in our Aboriginal communities, these Aboriginal industries, corporations, and the waste of money. It is not lack of money, it is lack of the ability or the will to do something about it. How many times over the years have we actually spoken about this time and time again, and nothing happens? How often have we spoken about closing the gap, and it's only got worse? We have to get rid of the racial division that's happened in this nation and pull together as leaders to listen to the people in these communities. So we read one report from a resident in this town saying, I've been complaining about the conditions, the house, I can't get a lock on my door, the stove doesn't work. It's not lack of money, because millions of dollars have gone to that community to be run by the same council leaders that have done for years because there's corruption and nepotism. How many times have I asked for reports to be done, audits to be done, but you shut your ears to it. You're not interested. And yet you come in here and, you know, it's disgraceful what's happened. And I've spoken about it before. I've been to Doomadgee. I've seen the children on the streets there. You know why? Because they're frightened to go home. Because of the dysfunctional homes. Because the abuse, domestic violence, alcohol, the drugs that are taken, the even sexual abuse of these children. But we turn a blind eye to it because you can't say anything about it because you're called a racist. It's disgraceful. I feel for these poor children. I feel for the domestic violence that's going on in these communities. Until you really face the fact of what is happening in these communities and speak up and be truthful about the matter. Go and find out where the billions of dollars are going. Why hasn't it been spent to improve these lives? Why do these people live and these children live in squalor? They don't have the right education. You can't intervene because you're called racist. Call it out for what it is. Look past that. We have an obligation to every child in this nation, every child. Doesn't matter what colour their skin is. If they're living in these conditions, then you take them out of those conditions and put them where they are going to be loved and cared for. But this man who allegedly committed this offence, you know, that has to stop too. And this is not the first child. I've heard of other children as young as 2 has been happening to them. The sexual abuse that happens in these communities has to stop. We have to intervene and we have to do something about it. For God's sake, we're all Australians. Get past the fact of what colour our skins are, whether Indigenous or non-Indigenous. Look after our future generations.
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Senator Stewart.
Thank you, President.